What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we got an indigenous Moorish Morabites trespassing on somebody's property. Let's get into it.
Bought it somewhere and I planted it.
But listen to how you're speaking to an indigenous woman about sage that's indigenous to her culture as sacred. Look at yourself. Would I come to China or wherever Asian country you're from
You're being racist. I'm not talking about you or your race. It's just about you picking something I didn't allow you to pick.
I'm speaking. I will not come to your country and grow a sacred plant in my front yard and get mad if natives walk by and pick it.
Wow. So this indigenous Moorish sovereign walked by somebody's property and went in their yard and picked sage because she says it's an indigenous plant that is part of her heritage. Ma'am, that is not your sage to pick. If you want sage, go plant your own. What in the doohickey are you talking about, ma'am? Also, you're saying that you wouldn't get mad if somebody walked by your property and picked something out of your garden. That's fine for you. But this lady here, she doesn't like that. She doesn't like a random person walking up to her yard and picking a plant that she planted. So it doesn't matter if that's what you would allow on your property. This woman here is not going for that. And your reasoning for doing it is absolutely ridiculous.
I will not come to your country and grow a sacred plant in my front yard and get mad if natives walk by and pick it.
For the record, on the record, ma'am, you are not native to this country or this land.
I will not come to your country and grow a sacred plant in my front yard and get mad if natives walk by and pick it. I will not come to your country and grow a sacred plant in my front yard and get mad if natives walk by and pick it. Straight up. Thank you. You can feel me all you want to. But that's
you can go grow your own sage in your yard without you coming into my yard.
It belongs to every child.
You cannot walk in onto our lawn and onto our property. That is trespassing, ma'am.
You could have told me that in a very kind way.
I did. I was like, excuse me, what are you doing?
We're not being aggressive. You're walking through our yard and picking art
on somebody's property when I see a plant that's sacred, untended to.
That is not unattended to. Clearly,
you have lots. You want
excuse
to show you all
me,
the
I
dry
can call the
leaves?
cops right now.
You're being over-aggressive. You have plenty of dry leaves under here. Do you use it in a sacred way?
Ma'am, it doesn't matter how she uses the sage. The fact of the matter is it is her sage and she can do whatever she wants with it. You cannot just walk by somebody's yard and pick their plants just because you feel like you're indigenous and it's an indigenous plant that's part of your culture. By the way, it's not. But you are absolutely ridiculous, lady. You are on a planet all of your own. This is absolutely ridiculous. These Moorish sovereigns got everything twisted.
You're being over-aggressive. You have plenty of dry leaves under here. Do you use it in a sacred way? You're being over-aggressive. You have plenty of dry leaves under here. Do you use it in a sacred way? You're being over-aggressive. You have plenty of dry leaves under here. Do you use it in a sacred way or medicinal way?
You know, you can grow your own.
You got your own cloud of thoughts that's making you feel you're right in this moment.
Well, if that isn't the pot calling the kettle black, wow. This lady is absolutely delusional.
Grow your own.
You got your own cloud of thoughts that's making you feel you're right in this moment.
Grow your own.
You got your own cloud of thoughts that's making you feel you're right in this moment.
Grow your own.
You got your own cloud of thoughts that's making you feel you're right in this moment. But meditate on it.
You can meditate on it.
No, you meditate on it because you don't know how much sage I have made grow for the past over 20 years in the Bay Area before you even thought of being here.
Keep on growing your own sage. And
I grow sage everywhere.
why are you taking sage from our property if you can grow your own sage and you can pick as much sage as you want?
I took it in the name of my ancestors.
You know,
This is my ancestors' land.
you could have taken
This is
some.
my ancestors' land.
This is not your ancestors' land right here. This piece of land is our land.
You better be glad indigenous people are not rising up. Because that's what we really need to do.
No,
This is my ancestors' land.
you could have taken
This is my
some.
ancestors' land.
This is not your ancestors' land right here. This piece of land is our
You
land.
better be glad indigenous people are not rising up. Because that's what we really need to do.
No,
This
We-
is my ancestors' land.
you could have taken
This is my ancestors' land.
This is not your ancestors' land right here. This piece of land is our land.
You better be glad indigenous people are not rising up. Because that's what we really need to do.
So let me get this straight, lady. Indigenous people need to rise up because you can't just walk around all willy-nilly picking other people's sage. So you're willing to start a war over sage that isn't even yours. Wow.
No,
This
We-
is my ancestors' land.
you could have taken
This is my
some.
ancestors' land.
This is not your ancestors' land right here. This piece of land is our
You
land.
better be glad indigenous people are not rising up. Because that's what we really need to do.
What are you talking about?
Indigenous people need to rise
We're-
up. This land is stolen.
This land,
Yes.
you're walking through our property.
People who are my blood relatives. I'm Lakota Sioux. I got indigenous Ethiopian clothes on, but I'm not Ethiopian. You don't know who you're looking at.
I'm not saying anything about your religion
in
or
a traditional white European establishment because your mind thinks like a
I
European.
did not say any. I'm just asking you.
Oh,
if
you
you're
didn't
gonna,
ask me nicely.
if you're gonna pick something off my yard,
I don't.
just
You know what?
ask.
You know what?
Excuse me, do
You
you
know
know this
what?
woman?
You know what? You know
Okay,
what?
so okay.
Excuse me, who is
You know
this
what?
woman?
I don't appreciate your aggressiveness
just
coming at
ask-
me.
I asked
When all I said was
I'm
that I'm
asking
indigenous
if you
and
came
this
on
is sacred
to
to
my
me.
yard.
And then both of them start coming at me hella foul. When all I said was
I'm
that I'm
asking
indigenous
if you
and
came
this
on
is sacred
to
to
my
me.
yard.
And then both of them start coming at me hella foul. When all I said was
I'm
that I'm
asking
indigenous
if you
and
came
this
on
is sacred
to
to
my
me.
yard.
And then both of them start coming at me hella foul. When all I said
I'm
was that I'm
asking
indigenous
if you
and this
came on
is sacred to
to my
me.
yard.
And then both of them start coming at me hella foul.
I did not say.
She is walking through our property and picking our
She's just
plants.
picking the plant. Why is it a problem?
Because it's our property.
You know, you can ask nicely. I'm happy. These are all natives
You
that I
guys are stupid.
planted. You know,
You're
I did not.
stupid.
I did
You're
not call
stupid.
you any names,
You're
miss.
stupid.
I did not
I'm
call
calling
you
stupid.
any names.
Go meditate on that. You are stupid.
I did not call you any
educated.
names.
You got your little corner house through gentrification in an area that is indigenous, and you get mad at an indigenous woman for picking sage.
Excuse me, ma'am. What part of it isn't your sage to pick don't you understand? This lady is deaf, dumb, and blind. How can't you get it through your thick skull that it isn't your sage? You did not plant it. This isn't your yard. You cannot just go around picking people's plants out of their yards and then get mad at them when they confront you on it. This is like an episode of The Twilight Zone. I really can't believe what I'm seeing and hearing.
Go meditate on that. You are stupid.
I did not call you any
educated.
names.
You got your little corner house through gentrification in an area that is indigenous, and you get mad at an indigenous woman for picking sage. Go meditate on that. You are stupid.
I did not call you any
You
names.
got your little corner house through gentrification in an area that is indigenous, and you get mad at an indigenous woman for picking sage. Look at yourself.
Yeah, and you're filming.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
That's very European.
There's nothing wrong with
We're
that.
not European.
You know
We're just
what?
asking
Yes,
you.
it is.
Outside,
Yes,
have
it
a
is.
problem
I'm
with
sorry.
somebody
Yes, it
picking
is.
a plant.
Yes,
You're not supposed to be walking through our property and picking ours.
Do you know how many Asian people I let pick out of my yard?
You're not done. You're just
You know
generalizing.
what? You need to go.
No.
Well, come
You
here.
need to go back
Come
to
here.
your land, learn the ways of your ancestors. Because this is our land and we don't act like that about a sacred plant.
I'm fine. You just asked. You didn't even ask.
You didn't even give me a chance.
I wouldn't go to your property. I don't even know where you live.
The fact that
Sage is
you have
sacred.
a problem saying
Sage is
you're lying,
sacred.
you should not have a problem with somebody picking a plant.
Now go post that. Go post that and let all your little white friends like it. Go post it and let all your little white friends like it.
Look at this.
It's a shame. You're ashamed. It's shameful. You don't even deserve that sage. You don't even deserve to have that sage in your yard. You don't. You really don't. It's a sacred plant. It's not just for you to be arguing with somebody over. How you gonna grow a Native American plant and then get mad at an indigenous woman? How? Can you call yourself smart? What is your degree doing?
Would you stop recording, please?
What did your degree do? Nothing. You got a whole degree, but what did it do? Absolutely nothing. You need to go back to your ancestors and learn their ways.
Please stop.
Because she didn't even give me a chance to ask her. She came out talking about my yard, my this, my that. This is Mama Earth, baby girl. And I've never come to nobody like that. And yes, people have picked out of my yard without permission.
Would you please stop?
Yes, all my tangerines, my figs, everything like that. So you need to learn how to share without being aggressive about sharing. I had to school you on a sacred plant that you're not even using.
Could you please stop?
Use the plant. Use the Indian plant, white boy. This is
Action go for it.
All right. You gotta touch glove.
Boom.
Why you breathing like that? Man, no, I ain't scared of you. Come on, let's go. Let's go. Come on, let's go. Way you back up. Come on. Oh. Come on.
Watch out.
Hold on, wait here. Hold on. Come on. Hold on. Hold on, wait here. Oh.